I've been very excited to come back to Asheville. Mainly because, I'll be honest with you, all right? This is as a visitor, this is outside looking in, I'm telling you. Y'all's food has no business being as good as it is. This is crazy. I live in New York and I'll meet people who are from Asheville and they'll tell you which 9 places to go. And usually when someone gives you a list of places to go and the list is longer than you could possibly visit, they're like, okay, here's 9 things, but these 3 are what you really want to make sure you don't miss. The others are really good, but these 3 are the best. Don't let yourself miss out. And I went to ask my friend, we got 9 recommendations. And I was like, so which are like the top 3? And they were like, top. I gave you 9 because you should go to 9. I'm only here for a day. How am I going to make it to 9 places? They're like, you need to make time is what you need to do. Y'all have a thing here where because the food is so good and some people aren't expecting it, you get people who just involuntary. You're at a restaurant, you're enjoying your food. It's good food, but you're used to good food. And then you hear someone else who's, I guess, used to gruel. Because they taste the food and they're like, oh. And those sort of sounds, I think they're meant to be involuntary. It's kind of like a laugh. It's like if you try to force a laugh, you look insane. But if somebody makes you laugh and it's genuine, it's organic, you can feel it, it's a beautiful thing. When someone cooks something so good that it makes you just go like, wow. You can tell a difference when somebody's cooked something nasty and you try to keep up appearances because these are like your new in-laws or whatever, and you don't want to make a bad impression even though you didn't cook it, you know what I mean? But you want to be polite, and so you try it and you're like, like you can't even remember how to do a decent one. The impression of a is so bad when it's not good. Yeah. No, I've tried to fake it before. I did. I was at a friend's place and I hadn't seen her in a while, and then she was cooking. So when she cooked, I was like, that's nice that someone would make me a meal. I'm gonna at least try it. It was okay. She had made these like barbecue pork chops, but then had put them into like her own version of a pad thai. Thank you. There's a time to experiment, and then there's a time to be regular. Master being regular before you go off into your own realm of foods that don't exist like that. Like, she didn't try to recreate like an actual Chinese dish or something like that. This was just something she was like, yeah, I just threw something together. And it's like, don't ever throw again. You need to be pitching underhanded the way that you... This is crazy. Okay, so... The plate had 3 pork chops on it. And it had, the noodles and some veggies and stuff. And the sauce was great, but this is the thing. A lot of people like to hide behind sauce. All right? There's a lot of culinary cowards out there. Terrified of their own cooking, so they're like, let's lather it in sauce. Let's basically make it crunchy or chewy sauce. And so she had the sauce in there, and I don't know how she did it. I don't know what happened. But one of those pork chops was raw. And this is the magic trick of it. I watched them be on the grill. I watched it happen. I watched her put all 3. I watched her flip all 3. I watched her take all 3 and put them on the plate. And then one of them just protested. One of them was like, no, being murdered was bad enough. I will not be cooked. And what do? I got this plate of food in front of me, and you know, if you go to somebody's place, and you're like, oh, I just ate. I just ate. Now that gets you out of a little bit of trouble. You still gotta taste it, whatever it is, but no one expects you to finish it. You just ate. And then if they ask you what you ate, you come up with like 4 or 5 dishes. Show them you have no room in your stomach. But I had said I ate before I got there, which was true. I was never going to finish this whole plate, but I bit into the first pork chop, and it was halfway decent. It was a little tough. It took more chewing than felt comfortable or right. It didn't feel like eating so much as training my jaw. It felt like one of the only things missing from those Rocky montages. Like it should... He need to run up the stairs, he need to punch the meat, but then he need to chew this. And then he'll be able to take on that Russian one that gave him so much trouble, gave him all the brain damage. You remember Rocky IV. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I gotta bite each one of these, because then that looks the messiest, and then that looks like I at least gave it a fair shot. Also, taking a bite out of each one ensures she'll never do this to anybody ever again, because she can't repurpose it as leftovers. Because the only thing worse than nasty food is nasty leftovers. That means that somebody saw what they cooked and decided it wasn't a war crime, and then put it in a refrigerator and then microwaved it. Because you know how bad food's always better after being in the microwave. And so I went to take a bite of the second one, and it was somehow just as chewy as the first one. But that second one was, you could tell, I was like, man, this is gonna be the thing that takes me out. This is raw meat. This is raw meat with sauce. I don't know how she did it to me, but she really gonna kill me. This is an op. And so then I took a bite of the third one. And the third one actually, wow, Goldilocks, because that one was not bad. That one, and maybe it took less chewing, or maybe my jaw had just been conditioned to the point where this third one was like easy money, because I was used to eating raw pork chop and eating tough pork chop. Said all that to say that she had the nerve. She's a good person, but she had the wherewithal, which is insane. She had the wherewithal to ask me how it was, even though she could see my eyes, because I was giving it away. I was tearing up. I was eating raw meat to be polite to you, my friend. You know, I'm not doing what I want to do. What I want to do is, why would you do this to me? Why would you, after the first bite, why would you do this to me? I thought we had a real friendship. Why would you try? Who put you up to it? But I was like, she's like, how is it? I was like, already my eyes are too wide for me to lie. How is it? You see how it's not believable? Well, it's nice to be here under what should be pretty good circumstances. It seems like, we've heard this before, we've heard it many times, so we don't know. But it seems like, but we have no full proof. But it seems like, it seemed like a few times. But it seems like, but we're almost sure this time. It's been on the news a bunch now, so it should be true. But also, that doesn't mean anything. And so, this time it should be for good. But also, it gets said that it's for good every 2 days. But we are almost certain now, because everybody flew and everybody signed the thing, that the war is over. Yeah. That, I really want to believe it. I want to believe it so bad. They even flew to Versailles and signed it at Versailles. I didn't know Versailles had special powers like that, that like, if it happened in Versailles, it's gotta be true. But they even flew to sign it. And when he was walking out, even Trump was like, they signed it. No takesies, backsies, they signed it. You know, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that the war as we know it is over. Remember the war that wasn't a war? We went to a lot of trouble signing a whole peace deal for something that wasn't a war. And it's not technically it's a peace deal, but technically it's just like memorandum of understanding, which basically means like, all right, I'll stop if you stop. All right, but if you stop, stop. I won't do anything if you don't do anything. Okay. It's a lot like that moment. This entire war feels like a bar that I went to one time where I sat down, and I don't drink. I do shows at bars, but I don't drink, so I'm just there very aware. And let me tell you, it doesn't feel great all the time. There's nothing like, at least if I drank and then I had a bad set, I'd be like, I think it went okay. But no, being stone cold sober, you're like, they didn't like me. And I remember I was doing this show, I got done, I'm waiting for my friends to finish too, because my friends also went up at the show, and so I'm watching them in the background, and in the back, these two dudes started fighting. And they were two dudes that nobody wanted to see fight, because one, I don't like to just see people fight out of nowhere. If a fight is already happening, I will be nosy, yes. But if it's just like two people talking to each other and then like things get violent, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But especially these two dudes, you did not want to see these two dudes fight, because neither one of them looked fit. Like this is about to be a very sloppy fight. This is about to be devastating. Because they both had that thing where they've been thinking about fighting for a long time. And then they finally met each other. So then they get to fighting. And when I tell you that two people who don't know each other but were so perfectly made for this moment got winded at the same time, both these men lasted about 6 punches before they were like, one dude, first of all, they had no distance management at all, so they were missing a lot. It actually took a while for either one of them to connect at all. Their first few swings were all missing. What dude, okay. He went to kick this dude, right? And he even took a stance. And when somebody takes a stance like that, in your mind you think, uh-oh, this person knows how to fight. This person trains. Both of them were like middle-aged men, and both of them were not fit. And so it never occurred to me that if somebody takes a stance, maybe you're like, whoa, this guy trains. Or new options after I saw this, wow, this guy used to train. This guy has seen a bunch of movies, so he knows exactly how to stand like the dude in the movie. But that's where the relationship between what happened in the movie and what's about to happen completely ends. Because this dude took a stance, right? And then he went in for the kick, and he even kicked right. Like he even kicked, and the follow through looked good and everything. The way he gave himself away is that he made the noise. He made the noise early. You don't need the noise, by the way. That's how you can tell when somebody doesn't fight. You don't need the noise. You actually don't. That thing is an old. You don't. That's not real. Nobody's actually doing that. The only people that do that are in the movie, and the only people that do that in real life are copying the movie. Like, that's not, okay, so this is a piece of film lore that I have been told. I don't know how true it is, but basically way back in the day, when we're talking like some of those early big mainstream kung fu movies, like Bruce Lee, right? Bruce Lee was doing these scenes, but he was doing them with like real technique, and because he really knew how to fight, he was over here. That is real. Like when you hear somebody, that they're boxing you up. That's all you're gonna hear. You're gonna hear them whispering a beat down, right? So if somebody's boxing, like, that's a real thing. But then because he's so quiet, and because the moves are like so unfamiliar to the audience, the director was like, hey, you're gonna have to give us something else so we understand something's about to happen. Like, we don't even know that's your power shot because it's so fast, and you're just like, and then it's over. And then I don't know if they told Bruce Lee to do it or if it was Bruce Lee's idea to do it, but he was like, Kia! Like that, like that's not a real thing. And also, he even when he did in the movie, he did it while he was doing the thing. Kia! You know what I mean? Like, Kia! You know, this dude just did a whole Kia! But like hadn't moved yet. What are you doing right now? Like that, you missed it. You hit key and you missed ya. What's happening? So then the dude went to kick the dude and he was like, Kia! And then kicked later. I thought I was having a stroke. I was like, surely this man didn't make the whole noise and then move. There's no way. This man went, Kia! And then he went to kick, and he kicked right, but he just completely missed. This man spun in a circle and landed right back where he was and looked dizzy. How dare you kick in public like that and just do a pirouette? Like, the man, Kia! No, this is insane. Then dude realized this is his opportunity. This man got himself all confused. He spun in a circle. He's dizzy. The room is spinning. This is where I take my opportunity. So then he geared up. But like even the way he was trying to throw this uppercut doesn't make any sense. He tried to throw. He tried to throw the uppercut like a cartoon because rather than just being here and then punching up, this man had. This man had his fist up here and was really gonna make a whole U-turn up. This dude went, and then he swung, and then he missed, and then he hit the wall. This man punched the wall so hard, he had to have busted something. He punched the wall so hard, and then he did a thing that like we all do at some point. I don't know what this is. I used to think I was alone until I saw him do this thing. He punched the wall instead of the guy he was trying to punch, and then immediately he just put his fist in his armpit. Why do we do that? Like that's a crazy thing to do. That doesn't heal anything. It's like I need to hide it real quick because if light doesn't touch it, it'll heal fast. I only broke 3 knuckles. And then this dude sees, right? He sees that this guy is like holding his fist in his armpit. And so he decides this is his chance for another kick. But he learned his lesson. He didn't go for that like mid-height kick again. This man went for a low kick. He was gonna kick him in his calf, really take away his mobility, right? And so he went to kick him in his calf, and he really reared back too. This man reared back like fully. He hit the full kick, right? And then something must have gone wrong because right about here he went, ah! And so right about here he went, ah! And then I know his back locked up because he didn't move. He didn't look like a balanced guy. So that's just frozen. That's just you locked in, right? Ah! 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 So you had my man right here, ah, and you had the other man, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was basically looking at what the U.S.-Iran war would look like. Because to a degree, I understand what some people are saying. They're like, this has been an embarrassment on the part of our tactics in war. The fact that we have all of these bases, all of this money, all of these resources, and Iran fought us off with some like drones you could get at Target with some bombs strapped to them. And I don't know, obviously, the easy thing to do, the easy thing to say is just that you want peace. It's a human thing to do. I just want peace. I just want everybody to get along. And sometimes you run into the unfortunate truth of that is just not the world we currently live in. It is delusional to be like, oh yeah, everything's going on, yeah, but just like throw some peace on top of that. And it's like, what is happening is why we don't have peace. And so you get this deal. This deal, by the way, which comes from us needing a deal after we attacked them again. We had already hit them before. We already, like every time Trump's been president, we've hit them a little bit. And then we went in because we were feeling ourselves after Venezuela. You remember Venezuela, that sovereign nation where we went and got their president on a random day? Everybody was confused. World leaders were confused. He was confused. He over here sitting in jail. Like, and I'm not saying, look, I'm not saying on his own, through his own actions, in a different timeline of justice, that he doesn't deserve jail. But just the way that we did it, I'm sure felt weird. Do you know what I mean? The way that we were like, yeah, let's go get him. He's a terrible criminal. And then we did. And then the people of Venezuela were like, all right, so, thanks, I guess. But what's the plan now? And we were like, oh, y'all figure it out. We just grabbed him. But then we needed a new plan. We needed something because we tore up the old plan. You know, Obama's Iran deal. Trump pulled us out of Obama's Iran deal because he was like, I can get a better, we don't even need to do this deal, I can get a better deal. I can get a better deal. I'm a deal maker. Look, y'all don't even know who you're talking to. I can get, as far as deals go, you wouldn't even believe. Have you read the book? Because I did it. I'm the Picasso of deals. I'm a dealer. I'm surprised I don't work at one of my own casinos. I deal so hard. I'm going crazy right now off of deals. I got deals like y'all. That's y'all's problem, is y'all don't understand what a deal is. You know, we're in a deal right now. You didn't even know. I'm just that good. See, look, watch a master work. All right, sick of y'all doubting me. And plenty of people, you know, not across the aisle as in an equivalent number, but plenty of people, no matter their political party, were like, okay, but what is your plan? What is your deal? And he's like, I'll get to it. And then they were like, well, you already tore it up, so you better come up with one quick. And he was like, no, I'm sure it'll be fine. And he didn't have a better deal, but he believed he could get one. He was mad too whenever people brought up Obama's deal, because he had to tear up Obama's deal just to get us in this situation. And so everyone reminds him of Obama's deal, so he's living under the shadow of Obama's deal. It makes him very mad. Yeah, it just feels like something he did for his own ego, because he didn't like that Obama got a deal. He didn't like that Obama got something that he didn't have. It's like why he's been so obsessed with Nobel Peace Prize. He can't stand that people look back at Obama as like a great president, and it takes a toll on him. It's wild to me. He clearly thinks about Obama so much. He thinks about Obama more than I think about Obama. You have to understand that this man hates Obama so much that he thinks about him more than someone who was like, oh, that's the first black president. He thinks about him way more than I think about Obama. It's wild. Like, okay, a good example. Okay, do this for me real quick. Every single one of you in here, close your eyes. 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 Some people are still peeking. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. Okay. So when you close your eyes, it is black, and Trump hates that. Like, he hates that. He hates that so much, right? And I think that, like, obviously we're normal people. So when we close our eyes, we see regular black. But I think when Trump closes his eyes, he sees Obama. Like, he he must see Obama every time he closes his eyes, which must be why he's so upset all the time, because he's sleeping so much. He sleeps more than he's supposed to be sleeping. There's an 8 hours in the day where you're supposed to see Obama, right? And then there's extra time as you get older. You need more naps, so you see Obama more often. But like, he's so mad that he sees Obama so much, and he's like, I can't let him have anything. It's insane. It's genuinely insane. And anyway, he pulled out of the deal because he was like, that's Obama's deal. I refuse to be a president under any deal made by Obama. I'm going to roll back all of his policies. I'm going to roll back all of his progress. As much of it as I can get away with, especially if I have Congress on my side, I'm going to roll back as much as possible. So I'm going to pull myself out of this deal. So he pulls out of the deal, and people are like, what are you doing? And he's like, you don't think I can get a better deal? You don't think I can get a better deal than Barack? You don't think I could get, you don't even know who you're talking to. You don't think I can get a better deal than Barack Hussein? You know he loved capitalizing that Hussein. That's his favorite thing to do. You don't think I can get a better deal than Barack Hussein Obama? Come on now. I'm Trump. And then people in his cabinet were like, we know. We know, which is why we're asking, what is the plan? Why do you think you could get a better deal? Do you have a better relationship with the supreme leader? Do you have like a better, forward view of how you're gonna progress relations? And Trump was like, I'm white! You don't think I can do it? I'm white! And then here we are on the verge of a deal that was kind of hard to believe we got. I don't know, I think, but maybe not. He said it was over like 16 times. I think Trump's approach to war is like my approach to war. If I was president and we were at war, I'd be like, today too? We gotta do the war every day? Y'all need to chill. That's exhausting. Because he's been trying to end it because the war is not popular. The war is causing us pain here at home as Americans. It's also putting our military, our service men and women in danger. And it's not putting them, this is the other thing, because you can talk about every conflict the U.S. has been in and go over the merits of engaging or not, or what the plan even was, what we told the public versus what was actually done, what the actual missions were, right? But I don't think that in my adult life we've seen something so quickly and so blatantly be pointless in our faces. Like, there are a lot of people that have a lot of different theories, and some people are even saying that it's because things with Venezuela had so little consequence on the world stage, because we went over there and grabbed Venezuela's president and kind of just like went about business as usual. That's a wild thing. Like, that was their president. That was do you know what I mean? I don't know if you ever worked at like a grocery store or something, but imagine somebody kidnapped the district manager. And then it's just like, as you were. Like, it's... I think he's supposed to be here for us to be as we were. That man's so confused because right before we went and grabbed him, he was offering up deals left and right. He was like, look, I'll do anything, just don't come get me. And they were like, oh, it's breaking up, we can't hear you. They were on the way to go get him. That dude literally was like, I'll give you all the oil, I'll leave. I won't even be Venezuelan anymore if it means you won't come get me. And they were like, oh yeah, we can't. I think he's right in the other room. We can't hear you. Can you check for a better signal? Can you maybe lean towards the window? Grab him. And that thing sort of went without real consequence. Like our allies were upset. A lot of the nations of the UN were shocked, but it was also like, what were they really gonna do about it, I think was the sentiment. And then on top of it, you don't have a figure that has a sort of like love of the people. You know, you're talking about Maduro, so it's kind of like, oh yeah, y'all can go grab him. Like that was in the mind, I think, of a lot of people, because I have friends who were educating me on the whole thing. I really didn't know about it, and they were like, yeah, Maduro was so terrible that, yeah, sometimes the enemy and my enemy sort of thing. Like they were like, yeah, go ahead and get Maduro out, but also we will need a president, just so like y'all can't just grab the president and then be like, figure it out for yourselves. And so then we entered into this whole thing with Iran that was at first not a war. Remember when it wasn't a war? Remember when it was like a conflict? It was like conflict, and then it was a skirmish, and then it was an excursion. Excursion is, y'all, that's wild. Excursion's a cruise. That's a cruise. Y'all cannot say excursion for war. That's insane. You gonna have me thinking you had a totally different weekend. You tell me about excursions. If you told me you just got back from an excursion, I'd be like, yeah, you look tan. Like I can see it. No, I've been looking forward to an excursion myself. You know, I need a little break. I can go excurse. And then there was a deal, but then there wasn't a deal. But then there was. But then there wasn't. But then there was no need for a deal because we weren't at war. And then we were winning the war. Never forget we were winning. Did you feel like we were winning when we were winning? Or did you just feel sort of confused? And the entire time, you know, I was sitting there wondering. I was like, how do you get yourself out of this one? This isn't Venezuela. You're talking about a country with like 90 million people. You're also talking about a country that's far more advanced and sophisticated in military operations and its understanding of us than Venezuela was at the time. And so what do you do? What do you do? Because then every time you come out and say something, Iran also comes out and says what you're saying isn't true, but you need them to at least be quiet to calm people down for them to believe you. Because like he would come out and be like, hey, we had a great talk today. We had a real good talk, and I think things gonna wrap up soon. And then Iran would tweet like I've never seen. I don't even really know what account it was, but Iran would just tweet, like it wasn't at Iran. It was like a couple different accounts that were like privy to the information were like, nobody's talked to us today, so I don't know who he's talking to. You must feel so gaslit as Iran to be watching our news, and then he's like, yeah, we almost got this thing wrapped up. I got them right where I want them. And then everyone in the room is like, who we been talking to? No, it's wild. Because then he would be talking like extra reckless about what he was going to do next. But then it wouldn't happen. And so what do you do with that? Like we all carried this weight. I'll never forget that Tuesday that he was like, tonight a civilization is going to be... Woo! What? What? With your thumbs? That's quite, somebody's gonna put in a history book that the president was like, tonight I'm killing everybody. And then look, then thank God, like I'm being genuine, it didn't happen. And that's not to say that these strikes, that these attacks, there aren't people killed. I'm just saying that thing didn't happen. And so now you have this 14-point deal where Iran promises to do a bunch of stuff that it seems like they already weren't doing that much. And then we give them a bunch of stuff that seems pretty good for them. And it's just sort of wild. Like, if you can just bear with me for a second. It is why I've been growing up and living here my entire life. I have watched politicians come and go. I've watched rhetoric change, policies change. And I don't pretend to know everything about foreign policy, about diplomacy, or about international laws. I find it like breathtakingly astounding that today of all day, like when you, in the history, they're going to point to today, because I think that only with distance can you understand the irony. It's got me like shaking how from the inception, the idea of an America all the way to present, with us being a superpower the world over, and with us saying that everything we do, we must do, and everything that we don't do, we can't do, or we can't do yet. It is mind-boggling that on Juneteenth, Iran is getting reparations. Like, just... like... Y'all know what day it is. That's what's Juneteenth. And look, I want everyone to do well, okay? Wow. I thought we couldn't afford it. I thought we couldn't afford, and I'm not even, look, this is the thing. I'm not even talking about like me personally. I'm like, ooh, that should be my money or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just thinking to myself, like, the natives didn't get a deal cut this quick, this way. Like, that's up until now, every time someone demanded restitution for something that the United States had done to them on our soil or abroad, we've been like, yeah, I hate it for you. Ooh, maybe in 50 years? Well, I'll be dead in 50 years and this will be more complicated. That is the point. Breaking off. And look, don't get me wrong, I understand that Iran is not getting a $300 billion check, but all the systems in place and all the planning is going to be to give them about $300 billion in essentially restitution, lifting sanctions. And I don't understand business. I clearly don't understand politics that well. But I think, if I'm being honest, as black people, we really just need to find what our Strait of Hormuz is. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the only way we're gonna get our reparations if we just Strait of Hormuz the US. Iran already gave us the playbook. Just be like, look, listen. The black delegation has met and we've decided that until we are properly compensated for centuries of injustice and forced labor, no more music. How about that? How about no more music? No more music at all. We won't even be humming, okay? You won't even get any, no. That's done too. You won't even get a passing tune. It's all on you now. Go ahead. Let me see. Go ahead. Play the guitar dry. Play it. Make that guitar sound ashy. I want you to. What will it be? What will it take? You know what? Until we've been reconciled with by the U.S. government, we're going to boil the chicken too. We're going to boil it. Yeah, no, I'm talking just straight boil, like just hot water. Yeah, no. When we cut our chicken, you will see veins, okay? Yeah. No, we were shielding y'all for too long. The chicken is an animal. Some of y'all didn't even know that. Some of y'all had your chicken fried up, baked up, roasted up so good you think it's just chicken. No, it used to be something. Yeah, that's it. No more seasoning anything but crab. I mean, you gotta season the crab. That's just, Jeremy, like legally, yeah. But like, no more. No, that's it. You had your last little bit. And then the U.S. will do what it did to Iran. The U.S. will be like, we don't even need... We don't even need you. You think you're so important? We don't even need you, though. We don't even need you like that. Go ahead, keep your music. No, keep it. I don't even want it. Yeah, no. I like being alone with my thoughts anyway. No, sometimes I just like just sitting and thinking anyway. We don't need your music. And let like a couple weeks pass. Because this is the thing, we work on reserves. One of the things the U.S. is really good at doing, especially when it commodifies something, is it's good at having a cushion. There's a cushion so you don't feel the pain right away. You know, oil prices can fluctuate. Goods can take a while to ship. You even saw it in COVID. You have supply chain issues, but you have this buffer. You have this like 3 months sometimes where a business stays completely normal, even though the world is falling apart. I'm sure they try to do the same thing. They'd hold out for a while. And then after like a couple months, the U.S. would approach the black delegation and be like, hey, look, okay, listen, all right, I understand you're upset, and we're working on terms, we don't have them yet, but my daughter does have a wedding. No, look, my daughter has a wedding, and please, I only got one daughter, she only gets married once, can you please, no, y'all gonna have to clap. You're gonna have to clap, stomp, whatever. And the U.S. will be like, we tried. We tried, it doesn't work when you're not there. We keep clapping on the 1 and the 4 and the 7. Every time my nephew tries to beatbox, it just sounds like applause and spit. Please. No, we're holding strong. You don't get any more. You didn't appreciate what you had. Remember, the strait was open. The strait was open before any of this. It's like it's like slapping somebody that forgot they had a gun on them. The strait was open. And then you did this, and then they closed it. And then they're like, okay, you know what, fine, we don't need you anyway. We don't need you. Nobody worried about you. And then they go off. 4 months pass. And come back, and they're like, oh. Look. We don't have a deal yet. We don't have a deal in place, but these are extenuating circumstances. And we do need somebody to sing because my grandmama died. All right. Grandmama died. Can you please just come sing, give it some soul. Just give it some, make us feel like she went to heaven. Like just, please. No. No. Then maybe, who knows? Maybe one day they come back and they're like, look, okay, we did have an extra 300 billion we didn't tell you about. Please, I can't eat any more boiled meat. It's stuck. It's stuck. I've been constipated for 2 months. I think I'm gonna die soon. Please. Yeah. And I'll even say this. I think that now we're in this stage where he has become the president that he said Biden was. We're like, it's weird. Okay, it's weird because like he was like, hey, Biden doesn't even know where he is half the day. And like they shuffle him from room to room and then you never see him and you're like, where is he? Does he know where he is? Whatever. And I don't know. I mean, the way he been looking and act like, I could easily see them sitting him in a room with a phone and being like, yeah, it's Iran. And then he's just on the phone all day. Because we know he can talk. He can go. He can go. Yeah, he's on the phone the whole day. Yeah, it's Iran. They want to talk to you. He's talking to Iran. That must be what he's talking about at the press conference. Like, we had a great conversation today with Iran. Everybody was there. Iran came. I talked to Abraham Lincoln. He said I was doing a great job. Yeah. Meanwhile, Iran is like, okay, so he wasn't talking to any of us. I don't know. It's crazy. Who would have thought that we would be attacking this country and then they would be sending back to us Lego movies. Just wildly, atrociously accurate Lego movie. What? Because you would want to celebrate if the war were really over. When something is over after a long time and you didn't even know it would be possible, you're so overjoyed, you're so swept up in the celebration that you can like lose yourself in it, and you jump into the streets and you're celebrating with other people because everyone is so happy. Like, I think Trump wants us to celebrate the war being over the way New York celebrated the Knicks. Because at least with the Knicks, we knew that happened. Do you know what I mean? With the Knicks, we're like, yeah, we watched that. No, we know it's over now. This is great. Admittedly, I couldn't make it to the parade. I'm not that big of a man, and I wasn't ready to be trampled. You know what I mean? It's hard to cheer when somebody's stepping on your back. Oh, it was incredible. I remember the night the Knicks won. Okay, so the night they won, I wasn't in New York. I was in Canada, and so I was safe. No, because New York was wild. New York was, you had people, I've never seen people climb that many traffic lights. It takes a level of strength and skill to climb a traffic light, because last time I checked, the traffic light not built for climbing. It's kind of straightforward, up and across. I saw a dude doing pull-ups on traffic light. You know how high stakes those pull-ups are? People were celebrating. There was a couple of. Here's the thing. I understand some of the celebrations because it's just you're just overwhelmed with joy. There was one person. There were people watching the game on the train, and so when they won, people on the train were losing their minds. And one woman just burst out in the song and had a amazing voice, right? And those are the type of moments that you look back on. You're like, this is just so beautiful. And then there's whatever the group wants to do to a bus. I don't know why it is that whenever a team wins, we gotta wreck a bus. And some of the buses didn't make sense. Here's the thing. If you run out of an arena and there's a bus right there and a bunch of people push it and then it moves a little, it's like, wow, we can do anything together. And then you push again and it moves a little more. And then a couple people join because they're like, oh, they need help. And then you push again. And then you push it so hard that it actually bounces and it teeters back towards you. And that part's scary. But then you push again a little bit harder. And then it tips over. And you're like, yay. You're so overjoyed. You're like, yeah, wow, we knocked over the bus. Never mind, it's your bus home. This is still New York. You take the bus home. That was your bus. I don't know if you saw. It went like semi-viral. They had the parade, where the Knicks went to City Hall and everything, and everybody's in the streets, and it's early too. That's a tough parade to make because it starts at like 10 or whatever. It's like morning, and people are just hammered. And then there was this altercation on a traffic light where this woman had climbed onto the light, and then there was a woman underneath her. I guess she was trying to take a picture. And I don't really know who said what to who, because you can't hear anything because it's so loud, but you see them like going back and forth at each other. And so the woman up here is like talking, and then the woman looking up at her is like talking, and then she does that. And I don't really know when they had a problem with each other, because that's also just how New Yorkers talk to each other sometimes. It's like sometimes a perfectly normal conversation is like, what's wrong with you? But then the woman who was up higher tries to get down. And as she's trying to get down, a lot of people didn't see us at first. There's like 11 angles of this thing. But a lot of people didn't see it. So she tried to get down, and then the woman who was sitting there trying to take a picture pushes her foot, which could have made her fall. And so then the woman climbing down grabs her shirt and just sort of throws her like off the light pole with an ease that was eerie. She threw her so efficiently and quickly. As soon as she put her hand over there, she was over there. She threw her perfectly. And so then that woman falls to the ground and everything, and then that woman immediately gets up and is trying to pull. She pulls at the pants of the woman that was still on the light pole, and pulls and stretches. And it's crazy because the woman's pants stretched so far. And so then she was punching the woman on the butt. She clearly didn't have a plan here. This is an insane thing to do. She grabbed the pants and just punch, but she's just punching the butt. She's just punching the butt over and over again. And so then this woman who's getting her butt punched just starts twerking. She just starts... starts twerking to let her know like she's not even bothered by it. Like she doesn't care that it's happening. And so she just punch it, and like you can tell the punches don't hurt because I can't hear the video. Once again, you still can't hear, but she's punching like she goes, like it's just. And then finally, the woman keeps twerking, but then does a twerking split across the barricade, still holding on to the light pole, and then she decides to get down and piece up the woman who was punching her on the butt. And I think that's actually a more accurate illustration of the U.S.-Iran war. Because I do think, I'm starting to think that the Lego videos were Ron twerking in our face. When I was growing up, you know, I would hear these stories of people who were like really in the life, you know, like they were doing bad things. They were like, this is bad. Probably gonna go to jail. And I heard this story one time. This dude, everybody got locked up, but there was this trap house. In case you're not aware, a trap house is where illicit materials are sold. I just, you know, sometimes you might say trap house, or there might be someone who's like, so is booby traps? Like, is it the trap door situation? Like when you walk in, watch out for the wire, you're gonna fall down to the basement? No, I mean drugs. I mean the buying and selling of drugs. And so this trap house was known for being pretty busy. It had become so busy that they had bought some property, you know, several blocks away and opened up another trap house. Business was booming. Things are going very well. Whenever you are selling so many drugs that you have to buy property, we are entering documentary territory. Most trap houses are really just dudes playing video games until somebody knocks on the door. Like, it's not a busy day, and you gotta stay at trap house the whole time because you don't know when someone might get the itch. And so they opened up another trap house, but this location was not as poppin' for some reason. They must have opened it in a bad neighborhood. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being all drugs, be like, I'm not going over there though, that's dangerous. And so even though they opened another location, and even though they tried to tell people, hey, you can come here or you can go over there, people liked the original trap house. It stayed just as busy as ever, with some business going on at the second location, but mostly it was here, right? And, okay. Let's just call him Jerry, all right? And Jerry ran both trap houses. And he did a pretty decent job, you know? Kept his books, kept his finances, really, like, he knew his inventory, you know what I mean? He could have made a great store manager at any grocery store. There was this dude named Twan, and Twan found out about these very popular trap houses. Well, one popular, one not so popular, right? And he made a plan to rob the trap house, the main one, the lucrative one, right? So his plan for robbing the lucrative trap house was to basically set up a diversion at the one that wasn't as busy. So he basically faked a robbery at the one that was not as busy. He had some guys go over there, bang on the door, act like they had guns, they were about to break in, because he knew it would make everyone call Jerry. Jerry and his boys would go over there, you know. By the time they get there, those guys have already left, and then the main trap house is left defenseless. They break in, Twan and them break in, they steal all this money out of the trap house, right? Take it back to their place. Now their place is a stash house. Stash house should be self-explanatory. If I've lost you at stash house, I cannot help you. But the trap house has been robbed, everything's been taken back to the stash house, okay? And then Twan and his boys thought they had made a killing. They were like, this is great. No one even knows that it was us, because they had planned it very well. They planned it all the way down to the detail of if those guys who did the fake robbery got caught, they wouldn't even know who hired them, right? But Jerry's no fool. Jerry started asking around, and he could kind of tell that some of these guys were lying, some of these guys weren't lying. He
traced everything back to Twan. And so he set up a plan to rob Twan's stash house. To go in there and not just get his stuff back, but take the rest of whatever was in there. And his plan wasn't as meticulous. He just sort of ran up in there with a lot of men and guns. Now what he did do is he waited. He learned the routine. He learned who would be there when. It took months. And then finally, he was like, we're gonna do it on Tuesday. They never paying attention on Tuesday. We're gonna run up in there. It's only gonna be like 5 of them. If it's 15 of us, I don't think we'll meet a lot of resistance. It's not like it's their money, it's Twan's money. And so that's what they did. They broke up in there, went ahead, zip-tied everybody, and took everything, which took several trips. The people at the stash house did have to watch themselves be robbed for quite a while. Imagine you over here, you're not gonna get away with this. Then you think they've left, they come back in the door. Left all this right here. And so then one of them, being new to the lifestyle, being a new, some would say prospect gang member, was so appalled at the theft that when he freed himself, lacking all presence of mind, called the police. This man called the police. It was like they ran up in there, they had guns and everything. They had a gun in my hands. He's telling all this to die. What? They took everything. They took the weed. They took all the money. Took my favorite Glock. And, some people were duct taped and everything, duct taped over the mouth, zip tied behind everything. So when, as soon as he called 911, he started freeing everybody else. And as soon as he ripped that tape off, they're like, "What is wrong with you? We gotta get out of here now." And so then they all left. They all ran up out of there because the police, catching wind that there was a robbery of the stash house, made themselves available immediately. I think, look, they got out in time not to get caught. They got out in time to see the police raiding the stash house from a few doors down. And that's the thing, is like people say, crime doesn't pay, or like criminals are dumb or whatever, but there are some very smart people who, for whatever reason, enter a certain lifestyle, choose to stay there, or maybe it's all that they know. And if criminals were so dumb, they wouldn't be fascinated. We are fascinated by career criminals. We're fascinated by people who do things that aren't just illegal. They have the gall to try to pull something off that has so many different entry points to danger. Like, just in the past few days, the Louvre was robbed. And I have not been able to settle. This is amazing. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Louvre or the Louvre or whatever, it's one of the most visited museums in the world, and people go there and then they act like they've been changed by art. And you ask them what they saw, they can't name anything or anybody. They were just like, "No, the Mona Lisa was there," looking unimpressed. Well, there were these robbers that broke in and they broke in dressed as construction workers, right? They had actually rented this like powerlifting vehicle that had a ladder that would bring them up to the next level where they could cut in, because they brought tools to cut in through the window and enter that way. They didn't want to just come through the front. And it made sense that they were dressed as construction workers, as the Louvre is under construction. Permanently, I guess. It's always under. Why is Europe never finished? Europe always, all of Europe, always, unless you're out in the country, there's always like, oh, we gonna fix this road. We've been working on it since 1822. But that's y'all's fault. Y'all keep changing the roads. We just, right when we finished the cobblestone, y'all were like, no, it's asphalt now. And so look, they break in, and they break in with these power tools. They had like an angle grinder and everything. And that's when the alarms were going off and stuff. And then they get in through this museum window, and the part of the museum that they're in is where these rare crown jewels are being held, right? They didn't bother with the Mona Lisa. There was a crowd, there's a line. You'd never make it out. People be like, no, I want to see. And people keep, they keep criticizing the security. They keep criticizing the people that were doing security, but those people did approach them. They were like, hey, you don't. you better not. Because what is museum security really supposed to do? Let's be honest. Let's be real. If you work security in any format, they should arm you with as much as it takes to protect what's supposedly valuable. Think about this. When you see someone working for like Brinks, right? And they bring a Brinks truck to do a deposit for a bank. Let's say a whole grocery store is like, hey, we got like $250,000 that we need to transport over to the bank to make our deposit. The bank is like, don't worry, we'll send somebody. They hire Brinks. Brinks comes over. They have a truck, and not just a truck, like a bulletproof truck. And then they get two people. They get two people to make sure nobody knocks you over the head when you're trying to grab the bags and put them in the truck. They get two people, and not just two people, two of the biggest people you've ever seen. Like two people that are so big that it's like, you are the gun, right? And then I think they give them a gun. They always hold in their pocket. Maybe they don't have a gun, but it looks like they have a gun. And they don't give them cuffs because they don't plan on taking any prisoners. And then they get in there, Brinks always handles a drop like they are being robbed. Like they always handle the drop the way a bank robber would handle the drop. Because I used to work at a grocery store, and Brinks would come in and they'd be like, so where is your safe, or where do you, hurry. And we'd be like, oh, it's over here. Okay, it's over here, all right. And then the one would get to work putting, the other one just watching us. I'm ringing people up. I'm putting more money in the till, and they were still like, but you might try anything. I don't know you. And then they would leave, and they'd leave all fast. And then they'd run into the truck, throw everything in the truck, and then they would always peel out a little bit, which made me uncomfortable. One time they came and did a pickup, and I was like, y'all sure that was Brinks? Because they were a little squirrely. But then for some reason, there are times where you're supposed to protect, or you're supposed to hold guard of something, and you're giving less and less resources as you do it. Like, you look at a Brinks security guard, and then you look at like a mall cop. They're like, you get one flashlight. I guess shine it in their eyes or something. If you hit somebody hard enough in the head with it, the glass will break. That's something. But nobody gets done dirtier. Nobody gets done dirtier than museum security. Museum security, not only do they give you nothing, no flashlight, they don't even give you a stapler to hit somebody with. They give you nothing. All they give you is a dress code. They're like, hey, just show up in all black, nobody will mess with you. You show up in a black shirt with a black suit jacket and some black pants and black shoes, people think you John Wick. They won't even approach any of the art. Because truly, what is a museum security guard supposed to do? I go to a lot of museums. I try to go to a museum in every city that I do a show, if I can, right? And I've been in these museums, beautiful art, and then you get a little too close, and you see this thing go off, this like little, you don't even know where the alarm is, but like it'll just, that's the too close alarm. Because it's not like a real alarm, it's just annoying, and it goes off until you back up. So if you're a pointer, I go to a lot of museums with pointers. Everyone I take to a museum love to point. It's like we all three again, and they're like, I like the flap. As soon as you hear, somebody works for the museum, comes over, black everything, with an attitude. Could you not? Ma'am, back up. They love that hair. Back up. Give it a little space. Let the art breathe. And you want to know who a museum security guard's arch nemesis is? Because it's not like a grown man. It's not a grown woman. It is any child. Any child will ruin their day. Because I don't know what it is about the frequency of the alarm, but if you're 4, you can't hear it. If you're 4, you're like. I was at this museum one time. This security guard was in a true predicament because this child was out here touching everything. He was touching it to the point that it sounded like their alarm was going off to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb. And finally, the security guard started like chasing his child around, and not like really chasing him, not like Dennis the Menace chasing him, but just like following them around, hoping to maybe this kid's gonna go back up to their parents or something and be like, can you please hold your child's hand or something, because they've been touching everything. Got applesauce on everything. Because as a security guard, what are you gonna do? You can't grab this kid. You can't actually grab this. I know that sounds crazy to anybody who was born in any era before now. You have to kind of let this kid put applesauce on all the art, because if you touch this kid, you've committed murder. So if you snatch this kid and even hold their hand so you can find their parent, you are basically killing them. So you have to like let them kind of do it, but then follow them around, but then not touch them, but then make sure they don't touch anything. It would look terrible. And so finally, this security guard just started running interference on every item. This child was walking up, getting ready to touch a sculpture. Security guard get in there. No. Just trying to box him out of every room. And then finally, his kid, realized what was going on. Felt like it was a game. So this kid is like, oh, you want to play? I love to play. Playing's my favorite thing. Playing's basically my job. And so he running interference. There's a painting. And finally, this kid gets boxed in. And even the security guard's like, I don't know what to do now. Because like, this would be when you would like snatch their hand and be like, hey, is your child not with you in the museum? I might have them. But he was like, doesn't want to touch his kid, but doesn't want the kid to touch anything else, but then is in the corner, but then is also a grown man cornering a child in a corner. Just because you're at work doesn't make it look better. all this kid has to yell is stop, and you going straight to jail. I'm your only witness, and I'm not really here right now. And so this kid boxed into the corner, and you can see the kids having fun. The kids over here. Nowhere to go but under. This kid slipped under his legs and ran away. This man turned around. Started chasing after this kid even more, and then the kid went to the only room he hadn't got applesauce on. And was next to this painting. I don't really remember who painted this, but it was a huge, huge painting of a ship in a storm. And it was one of those that was like, it was a marvel because of its scale. You know, so it's not like one that you just hang up and 6 by 8, whatever. This thing was huge. It took up almost the entire wall, which meant he could definitely reach it. This kid walked up to the painting, and now the whole thing is a game. Touching the stuff's a game, trying not to get caught is a game. This kid's having fun. He thought museums were boring. He's having the time of his life. This kid standing next to the painting, and admittedly, I was also running after them so I could keep watching. I didn't try to help him at all, but I was like, I gotta see the rest of this. Like, what you gonna do? This man gonna run out of breath soon. Security guard gets in the room, huffing and puffing, and he just goes, even the kid for a second was like, ooh, are you? I might have killed a grandpa. I don't even know. And then this kid goes in his pocket and lifts an applesauce covered finger. And I was like, it's been in his pocket the whole time. Children are disgusting. This kid been running around with a pocket full of applesauce this entire museum trip. And then Unc running security goes, don't. This kid, no words, no emotion in his eyes. You can tell he gonna grow up to be a bad person. This kid, applesauce covered finger just went, and so if a security guard is defenseless against a child, what do you expect them to do against actual robbers with angle rods that they just used to break into the second floor window? Because the security ran up on them, no, hey, get out of here, none of that. And then they went, vroom, vroom, vroom. Security was like, you know what, let us help you. Everybody out. Everybody out. Everybody get out now. Security made everybody get out but them. Don't you see these men working? Get out. They over here on time crunch. And you over here, ooh, look at the jewels. Get out. In fact, there was a news report that cracked me up. I laughed so hard because the security report, there was this person who, I don't think they were like head of security for the Louvre or anything, but they were basically like, it is museum security's #1 job to make sure that the people are safe, and that's what they did. They made sure the people were safe. And I was like, you are changing the narrative right now, because anytime I got too close to a painting and I heard the and then I had somebody come over, it didn't seem like it was for my protection. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were running up, hey, that one, that painting, that wakes up. Don't get close. Please. And so then, robbers start grabbing everything, grabbing these like Napoleon era empire crown jewels, right? They grab so much, they grab too much. They actually grab so much, they drop one. They drop one of the crowns outside. And this is gonna sound dumb. This will sound dumb, so bear with me because I know it's gonna sound dumb, but I don't think it's dumb, all right? I thought, truly, even when I went to museums, for as many museums as I go to, I've been to museums in Europe, I go to museums here, I go to every museum that I can. I thought for certain that when you see something in a museum, that under certain circumstances is a replica. I can tell by your reaction that some of y'all think I'm dumb and some of y'all think what I thought. I'm telling you right now, when I would go to the museum, I would admire the brush strokes, I'd admire everything, but I would be like, this is the fake one though. Like this has to be the fake one. And I thought that because if you remember, right before 2020 and even after the pandemic, you would have activists that would go to museums. These, climate activists would go to museums and they just throw like tomato soup on supposedly priceless paintings, right? They would go up to like a Van Gogh and be like, blah! And then they glue themselves to the wall or something, and then they would be like, this is why we did this. And you will have to listen to me for as long as it takes to unsuperglue my hand from the wall. Because people who are climate activists feel like no one is listening to the point where the only thing that will get any attention or like stop people for a second to listen to them is just extreme acts that knock you out of whack. You know what I mean? Just things that you go, what? What? They did what? Why did they do that? And then they get to explain. It's like the better version of canvassing. Because they tried to canvass. They really did. Everyone that cares about the climate tried to canvass, and what did you do? You walk by them. They were like, do you have a minute for the planet? And you're like, I'm headed to work, please. I was with a friend one time, and look, I've stopped plenty of times. I can't stop every time. And so they were like, do you have a minute for the planet? And then my buddy was like, no, we're good, and kept walking, have a good day. And this dude got really bad. This dude canvassed and was like, you on the planet? You don't have a minute for the planet you on? But that was happening a decent amount. There were these supposedly priceless paintings that were getting vandalized, people throwing Campbell soup on them and everything. So then I was like, surely a museum would not allow Campbell soup to get thrown on the real one, like the regular one, because the museum was always super chill about it. The museum, they would like throw tomato soup on a Van Gogh and the museum would be like, stuff happens, we gonna get it off. You gonna what? You gonna get it off? Because when I got close, when I tried to smell the painting, I heard, and then you came over, no smelling. It was get it off, no big deal. Or you would see things like I don't know about you, but the tomato soup that I eat got a little oil to it. And you throw it on an oil painting, it seems like it might leave a stain. I have no idea. But then you would see the museum come out and be like, no permanent damage was done to the artwork. And I'm like, how? I've dropped suits that were clear on my hoodie before it had the stain forever. How's this 200-year-old acrylic painting fine? It must be a fake. I used to think that, look, if you go to a museum and you see just like you could touch it, that one can't be real. But if you go to a museum and it's behind glass, that's the real one, because they bothered to protect it. Why are you just bothering to protect some pieces? That doesn't make sense to me. So then, in my head, I was like, those aren't the jewels. You know what I mean? That's just colored glass. These people so stupid, they ran up in there and risked their freedom for some colored glass. And then the French government came out and said, priceless items have been stolen from the Louvre. And I was like, that's the real jewel! Y'all didn't run any armed security around the real crown jewels? For a split second, I felt like it was my money. I was like, what are y'all doing? Ooh, I need to sit down. You said it was priceless. And then right after saying it was priceless, they were like, it's about $100 million. I was like, oh, seems like a price. You said priceless for a day and a half, and then immediately y'all were like, I think 103 probably. At least round up to 110. And then, in my opinion, museum handled it wrong. You know, they were over here freaking out. Everybody, the French government, they got everybody on it. They got like their version of the FBI. They have the local police. They have everybody on it. They plastered all the jewels that were missing all over international news and everything. If I was trying to save face, let's say I was head of museum security, I was trying to save face, I would come out to the public immediately after the robbery and be like, y'all, that was Banksy. Y'all know Banksy played too much. But this is where I wish that they had done a better job of being creative, being inventive, you know? You've just been robbed, one of the boldest robberies that we've seen. And you are the most visited museum in the world. Why don't you just see this as a W? You know what I mean? Instead of freaking out and shutting down the whole wing and staying closed for a day, all you gotta do is put that tape around the crime scene and make that an exhibit. We all want to see it. Bring people in. Make the security guards that did do their job, the tour guides, just be like, it was 4 of them. They ran up in here. I was like, hey, get out of here. And they were like, ving, ving, ving. I was like, you right. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. But I'm telling everybody, and that's why I'm telling you now. And yeah, you can see the glass right here. Take a piece of glass home. You can take a piece of glass home if you want. The jewels used to be right there. That's crazy, right? Jewels used to be just like, and the light used to hit it like that, but then they brought the grinder and so. But they were real, the ones. That's why I'm doing this now, or else I'd be fired. No, it sucks. It does. It sucks because, like, it's just gonna turn museum security into TSA. Yeah, I mean, because look, this was, as far as museum security goes, this was their 9/11. So if you think you're just gonna roll up in there and have a good time, that's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna show up and they're gonna be like, all right, shoes off. They all gonna have the wand now. Oh, brutal stuff. You gonna walk into your local museum. You're not even in France. But there's gonna be that security guard takes his job extra serious and be like, you're not gonna get me, not today. Pants down. Pants down. No, I got a check. You could have anything in there. You could have an angle grinder in your pants or something. You know, we have some very expensive cups here. I love a tour guide at a museum because then they'll tell you how expensive something is. And at least with the pottery, maybe this is me not being cultured, but some of the pottery that's in museums, and then they'll tell the story of how the pottery got to the museum, and then they'll be like, you know, this is worth easily $100,000. And I'll be like, nah, it's not. It's not. Like, it isn't. Like, it is not. As much as it is here, it is not worth that. Like the function of is, like it is here, like it exists, like it is. It is here. And it is not worth that. And you know how it's not? I know it's not worth that. I know it's not worth that. Because no, you had to tell me how much it was, because I thought it was worth nothing. I thought y'all dug it up and brought it here, because y'all were like, this was just in the ground. Isn't that interesting? I bet you people aren't leaning over the register at the gift shop being like, how much was that clay cup? I only have 50,000 on me. Dang. I would have loved that clay cup that looked like a caveman did it. Because I need to be clear here. I'm not just trying to be rude. The one that I'm talking about, it wasn't like some beautiful African art. It wasn't like a Greek pot or something that was painted with a story on it. It just looked lumpy. It just looked lumpy to the point where I was like, even when they drank out of this, there's no way they got the water on a consistent basis. You could tell it's primitive because it looked like a cup that gulps. Looked like it pours when it wants to. Lip of it all uneven and everything. This is $100,000. I'm like, all right. You sure you didn't look at it too fast and add 2 extra zeros? Because I don't think so. There was a guy. There was really rich guy apparently. I don't know him, but everybody was saying how rich he was. And he got on the Instagram to actually physically cry about the crown jewels being stolen. And he gave this whole speech about how like the robbers, because there's this assumption that the robbers aren't going to be able to just sell the jewels they stole as is. There are plenty of people in the world that would pay the money it would take to sell them just as is, and maybe they just keep it and only they know they have it. But art collectors usually like to show off their collection, and so they can't tell anybody. So it's better just go ahead and maybe melt it down, sell the jewels. The jewels themselves are still very expensive. In fact, you see where throughout history pieces have been stolen. Mona Lisa was stolen before. Pieces sometimes get stolen, but unless you can sell it to someone, what's it really worth? And so there's speculation that already these jewels have been melted down and being sold for parts, or maybe pieces are being sold that might not be able to be traced back to the complete set. And this guy got on social and he was just crying. Dude had to be in his like 50s, something like that, and he was like, it was that crying where, okay, you know, it was like the crying you do when you're little, but you let yourself do it again when you get grown if something gets to you enough. Which is crazy, because he went online to cry, but then was fighting the crying. But he's fighting the crying to camera, but then just don't turn the camera on yet. Like if you let it out real quick and then do your video. You doing the video, like no one putting the video in your face right now. You doing the video and you wait, just wait. No one asked for this video. You could wait a day. You could wait till you're over it, or you could just not do it. But this dude got some people just cry like they choking, and it's just and then he said a bunch of stuff, and he did say it in French, and I don't speak French, so I'm going to paraphrase from what everybody said he was saying. But I know he said some of this because a lot of people said he said it, and then I know there's some of it that might be like editorialized on what he said, because I don't know if he said that because I don't speak any French. And then also he didn't even say what he said in French well, because he was crying through the whole thing. Like, And look, to be fair, maybe some of that was crying and maybe a little bit of that was the accent. Maybe some of that was the accent, because there are certain people that when they speak French, they do seem upset for no reason, so then that's... It's like, was that a cry or was that one? Were you saying one just now? Were you like, or is that you trying to hold it together? Because that's why you should have waited to make the video. That's a cry. That was not French. That one. And what this dude basically said was that you didn't just steal from the Louvre. You stole from the French people. You stole a piece of our heritage. You stole a piece of our history. And if you melt that down, if you repurpose that, if you sell that, you will burn in hell because you have stolen from the people. And I'm sure, I'm almost positive, I don't know everyone who's seen the video, I just know that I saw it, but I'm sure if you saw that video and you were from Africa or Brazil or just anywhere, I'm sure you watched it and you were like, oh no. Someone stole a piece of your heritage? What are you gonna do? Someone in Sri Lanka is like, not France. No. What are you gonna do? And look, I can understand if you are from some of those other countries, if you're from like an African country or something like that, if you're from Haiti and you see this thing, that you might be like, oh no, not the Louvre. They have our stuff too. Did they steal our stuff? Now it's gonna be harder to find, because that's also what was there. So now, oh no. Someone stole it, you know? I just love the story so much. I love the robbers. Because look, because they even showed up, they weren't just dressed in a construction outfit, they had on the, you know what I mean, the thing, mask and top and bottom, you know, they were wearing the baklava. I love this crime so much because it feels a lot like somebody that runs a trap house robbing a stash house, and then the person from the stash house is like, we gotta call the police. I can't believe somebody would steal from us. This is unacceptable behavior. We stole all this stuff fair and square. This was ours. And then they took it from us in an act of injustice. Stanford, y'all have been amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I hope you have a phenomenal time. I don't know if y'all saw what's been going on in the House of Representatives, but they had it out. Ooh, that was better than Real Housewives. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty good. Okay, in case you didn't see what happened, basically they were having a committee hearing, and I don't really know how they work. They use certain rules of order where they're like point of order, you know, and there's like this moderator that doesn't do his job and stuff. And basically, Representative, I think her name is Jasmine Crockett, said to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's like, do you know what we're talking about right now? Do you know what we're here for? And then Marjorie Taylor Greene said, I do know what we're here for. Do you know what we're here for? Because those fake eyelashes might be messing up your reading.
And immediately, everyone had a reaction, and AOC was the one to be like, hey, can we strike this from the record? You can't do this. Like, this is crazy. You're not supposed to engage in personal attacks on appearance or personality during a hearing. Like, you have to have some form of order, right? And then the person that runs the committee that doesn't do his job was just sort of ignoring her. So then, they let it go. But before that, Marjorie Taylor turns to AOC and she's like, did I hurt your feelings or something? And then AOC said, girl, no. Baby girl, no. In case you aren't familiar, all right, a girl followed by a baby girl is equivalent to showing a Glock. I've never had a woman tell another woman in front of me, girl, baby girl, without something happening next. That's because it's such gentle language. Because it's two women talking to each other. So girl implies like my girl, hey girl, you know what I mean? Girl, and then baby girl. Baby girl is smaller than girl. Baby girl comes from an even gentler place, but is somehow much more violent. Baby girl. I'll put it this way. Girl is hair. Girl is, snatching up someone by their hair. Baby girl is choke. Baby girl is hands around the throat. One hand is baby, the other is girl. Baby girl. Whew. And then later, Representative Jasmine just asked the leader, the one who doesn't do his job. She was like, hey, I just want to check, just so I know the rules. I want to check if I were to say something about somebody's beach, blonde, bad built, botched body. And to be fair, look, I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what she said, because some people are like bad beach blonde, bad built butch body, or beach blonde, bad built botched body. Either way, it's a bop. Either way. It's rare, and that was like kind of off the dome. That was incredible. That was one of those things where I was reading it. I've never read like a news magazine before and been like, beach blonde, bad built butch body. Man, get Metro Boomin on that one. That's crazy. So I don't know exactly what she said, but she was like, if I were to mention somebody's beach blonde, bad built, botch body, would that be engaging in personality attacks? And then a bunch of people on the Republican side made the same noise as the Democratic side before, and then they were like, this is not the time, blah, blah. And then Jasmine was like, no. Because y'all love to dish it out, but you can't take it. And then the article ended, and I was like, that's the problem with journalism today. That's what. Now I gotta go watch C-SPAN to see how it ended. I feel like one of the main things that I miss from being a kid is ooh. Do y'all remember ooh? Do y'all remember like ooh? What an incredible experience. Ooh is beautiful. You know what's so beautiful about it? It's one of those like communal experiences. No one teaches you how to do ooh when you're a kid. You know what I mean? No one sits you down and sometimes you're gonna want to clap, and sometimes you're gonna be like, ooh. Like, no, your parents never give you a talk like that. You just are a kid, and then maybe you're talking in class, everybody's talking in class, and then the teacher gets frustrated, turns around, points out one kid and goes, Mr. Perkins, and then all the kids go, ooh. It's beautiful. It's almost like a religious experience that you're having outside of church, you know what I mean? Everybody knew to do it at the same time. Like starting a good slow clap. When a real slow clap happens, you're like, wow, we really did it, y'all. Ooh is beautiful. And then as you get older, ooh starts to go away a little bit. You know, because we all have different experiences. When you're a kid, most kids have the same general big fears, right? Getting called out in the middle of class, getting embarrassed, something happening, somebody. But as you get older, everything starts to splinter off. Everything goes in different directions, and so one person's ooh is another person's nothing, right? It's very hard as an adult to have an ooh experience, so I treasure them now when I have them. It's beautiful. Like I was walking down the street one day, and I was passing this bar, and there was a woman yelling at her boyfriend to the point that a crowd had gathered. Like it really felt like a street performance, the way that she was taking him to task. And she was like, I had one day off, JR. I had one day off and you ruined it. And he's like, I'm sorry. No, sorry's not enough. This has happened so many times. I have one day off, JR, and you ruined it. And then out of nowhere, she just swung and slapped him, right? Slapped him from everybody, and everybody was like, oh. And just like that, I was like, wow, I'm back in it. This is incredible. I went to a friend's wedding a while back, and the thing that was amazing to me about this wedding is just how personal it was, right? So it was a smaller wedding, so it wasn't like a huge room or anything, and the groom got his best friend to officiate the wedding, right? And I think that's kind of cool. You know, some people want someone, like if they have it at a church, they want like their pastor to do it, but just someone that makes it special, right? And then the couple, they wrote their own vows, which I also thought was pretty cool because it was very specific stuff to them that was like cute and was funny and stuff like that. And you can tell that the friend officiating was nervous because he was holding the mic, but it was like shaking in his hand, everything. It was all very, very sweet, right? And then it got that time to, you know, say like, do you take, and everything. And then, you know, Buddy looks at the groom and says, do you take Ashley to be your lawfully wedded wife? But Ashley was the groom's ex's name. Doesn't it just feel good to just let it out? Oh. You know, I don't know, admittedly, I don't know much about dating, but I do know white people. And the weather has a real effect on y'all. It's a nice day out, and every person I made eye contact with has told me. Y'all saw the sunlight today. You were delighted. I was outside, and somebody walked up to me outside and was like, what a day. You know, and maybe it's just the New Yorker, but I was like, nah, I know, it's very good. They were like, nah, this is great. And in my head, I'm like, does it rain every other day or something? Good to know. Oh, I was happy for everyone. Everybody was having such a good time. You know, it's like the weather today felt like when your friend wants you to see a movie really bad, and then they watch it with you, but they watching you watch the movie to make sure you're enjoying it as much as, but then you're like, but I see it. And they're like, no, but are you paying attention? It's like, you not paying attention, you looking at me. There were a couple people I was concerned about. You know what I mean? Because there were a couple people. I was at the hotel, you know, I was chilling with Logan. We were about to go get something to eat. And there was one guy that was so happy, he got upset. You know what I mean? Like we saw him, you know, past him on the way out of the elevator. He's like, It's a really nice day. I was like, oh, buddy, it sounds like you needed this one. It sounded like one more day of rain, something was gonna happen, all right? I can see that same dude looking out the window. If I see another drop of rain, everybody dying. Then the clouds broke and he was like, yes, yes, yes. Because I was enjoying the weather too. I just didn't feel like I was doing a good enough job. Okay, you know, like when you go to like Six Flags or something and you having fun, but your friend is having the best time ever, to where you're like, I don't think we at the same place. You know, like y'all both walking up to the line for the Batman ride. I guess it's just perspective. I guess it's just when I walk up to the line, I see how long the line is. I'm like, oh, we gonna be standing here for 45 minutes. But he's looking up at the ride like, Batman. I'm like, yeah, buddy, yeah. Yeah, Batman, and we'll be there in 45 minutes. I had a realization that I'm getting older now, and as a man, like as a grown man, I'm actually too old now to get kidnapped. Like if I got snatched on the street and then they held me for ransom, as a man, you'd be like, nah, I live with y'all now. Like I can't. You can't send me back. That's too embarrassing. I just got snatched up like I was waiting for my mom after school. Y'all got me. We good. I'm part of the gang now. Can't send me back. Imagine, there's actually a statistic that nobody talks about. Thousands, I'm telling you, thousands of men go missing every year. We don't look, but thousands of men go missing. And I think it was 2021 where men going missing outpaced women going missing, right? And it's like an insane stat. When I was reading it, I didn't believe it. I was like, how is that possible? But I think it's because men know when they get snatched up, they're like, bro, just kill me, because I can't go back now. Imagine you a grown man with a family, right? You a grown man with children, and you got kidnapped, and then you come home and try to be the patriarch of your family, knowing you were a kidnapped man. You know what I mean? Knowing you a diet man, knowing you light. Standing there over your kid, telling him not to talk to strangers, and then your 8-year-old go. Well, Dad, between the two of us, I'm not the one that's been snatched up before. I'm not the one that's walking around irresponsibly.
Not